Hello everyone, this is Ron Wilkerson with Houston Professional Photography and Houston Proximity Marketing. A little bit about myself. I am a professional working photographer in the Houston area. We also do a number of different video projects for our clients to help build their brands. I have been in business for myself for over 35 years. A little bit of history on me. I started out as an entrepreneur probably in my teen years, but I think it goes back even farther than that. I remember, I think it was my 12th birthday. I was asked early what I wanted for my birthday, and I decided I wanted a lawnmower. Everyone kind of looked at me strange, but they're like, okay, well, he must have a reason for it. So they got me a lawnmower. It wasn't new, but it worked. So what I did with it over a period of time, I started renting it out to other kids and letting them go cut grass in the neighborhood, and then I took a percentage of it. I think that was the beginning of my entrepreneurial path, and it's led me to where I am today. We discover early on in life that we have no idea what it is we want to do with our lives. And I think that's the path that most of us have taken. But today, things are different. We have so many opportunities right at our fingertips. You can literally pick up your phone and you have access to the entire world with just a Google search. I'm a true optimist when it comes to growth and renewal and rebirth. But I think this is a unique time, especially here in America. And I think what we're going to find is more people are in a state now where they believe they're going to just lose everything. And they will, by their own actions or lack thereof, create an environment where that actually happens. And what I mean by that is, many of us who are in business, we look back every year and we think about all the things we could have done, we should have done. Things that if we had the right finances, we would have marketed a certain way or advertised a certain way or expanded a certain way. And we always find a way to talk ourselves out of it. Now, for some, that may be the right choice. But for many, diversifying is the key. So I know a lot of you have heard people say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Sadly enough, that's where most businesses find themselves today. All of their eggs are in one basket. With that said, what do I think? Well, I believe that even with the bailouts, the businesses who really need the bailouts are not getting them. And now we're getting a second round of bailouts, and we're going to assume that now possibly those businesses will see some relief. The only problem is it's going to be too late. And it's not going to be enough. And that's going to be a huge problem for them. Most of them are going to fall because of the fact that they cannot maintain what they had just a year ago. And it's not just being able to pay your rent or all the other utilities that you need to keep on, so that your business stays open. You're going to lose employees. There's no other way to look at it, because no one really goes into business so that you can insure someone, to have a job so that they can afford to buy a house, a car, and, live a certain life. You go in business so that you personally can make a profit. And in order for you to do that, in a situation like what we're facing today, you're going to have to make some tough choices. And those tough choices, it seems like for most, is going to consist of, eliminating a few people. And in some cases, a lot of people. And not just that, that's not the biggest problem. Most people have been home for so long. And I can use, where I live here in Houston as an example. And I think what's going to happen is that a lot of cities are going to rush to reopen. We'll see a reemergence of the virus, even if it's on, a lesser level, but it will happen. And then people will panic. And then they'll go back into their homes and they refuse to come out. And then even when things start to improve, they're going to be very, very selective of where they go, what they do. You won't see large groups of people sitting in front of a Starbucks, like you would normally see on any given day, going and coming. You won't see large amounts of people walking through the mall almost shoulder to shoulder. You won't see people going to water parks and things like that. And I'm not saying it's going to stay like that forever, because I don't believe that. I believe eventually things will change and life will somewhat become a new norm. It will never be what it was before, but it will be better than it is right now. But the question is, will your business survive to that point? And for many, the answer is no. But for those who do, this is a very, very unique opportunity. It's an opportunity to continue growth, to restructure your business, reevaluate your marketing, and utilize whatever resources you have to keep going, to stay sustained as long as you possibly can with a plan. You cannot think about your business and your growth like you did a year or 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, because things are going to be completely different. The fact that you were able to start a business from scratch, and many of us with no help from anyone else, it's just an idea, we put it together and we made it happen. I look back on my own history. I went from being a young entrepreneur to a club owner, to a limousine company owner, to a number of other things, until I finally found what I believe to be my true calling, my passion, which is photography, videography. I love to create. That's just a big part of who I am. That's a part of the person that I've become. Even with that, when you look at the advent of smartphones, some of the new smartphones are amazing. I mean, you can shoot some incredible high quality video. You can shoot, high definition photos, anywhere from 24. I mean, they got cameras now on smartphones as much as 105 megapixels. Megapixels don't really make the photo any better. That's another discussion for another time. But the point I'm getting at is, people have become accustomed to being able to photograph themselves and photograph things around them, and they're happy with it. They post it on a daily basis. That is also another lead-in to where we should be going as business owners, utilizing that social media presence on a daily basis. Any way we can make contact, any way we can interact with people that we normally just assume would use our services, that would find us on Google, or they would be comfortable enough, in the everyday world to say, oh, hey, I want to hire someone to photograph my wedding or a corporate event that I have coming up, or I need someone to cater for a corporate event that I have coming up, or we're going to do this at a major hotel. Now people are going to start thinking about web conferencing, virtual reality. And I mean, it hasn't gotten that bad yet. All it takes is for things to get worse than they already are. And what I fear the most, as many countries that are working on a antivirus, to be able to give people some type of security, some type of insurance that they'll be healthy and safe. Most likely by the time they discover what will work, we'll be facing a new virus. So we'll start this cycle all over again. And because of how it was dealt with this time, it's going to make it even more difficult the next time. But as a business owner, this is where you have to step up your game, from my perspective. If you're following the CDC guidelines and they say, okay, you have to do, XYZ. Well, that's a very, very basic guideline. That guideline is just set out for whatever the bare minimum that a company should have to do, wiping down things, keeping things clean, things that most companies should have been doing, from day one. But, things lax, as time goes on, and, people don't think about, that until they're worried about an inspection or something like that. Well, today in the new norm, that's going to have to be an everyday occurrence. You're going to have to be on top of that, because there will be people checking. There will be people trying to call you out and show that your business is not meeting the standard. Now, what I think you should be doing is thinking of ways to go above and beyond what the CDC is saying that you need to do. And the reason why I say that, if you're able to give your customer, that extra sense of security, they'll gravitate toward you. So it's just a matter of thinking about what can work within an environment that you can afford to actually make it work and sustain it. So that's some soul searching you're going to have to do for yourself. When you sit down and you decide, okay, I'm not going to let my business fail, but it's going to be different. So in order for it to be different, you have to approach it from a completely different direction. You can achieve whatever it is you set out for. You just have to set a goal. You have to have a blueprint, a plan that you follow almost on a daily basis. Well, not almost, definitely on a daily basis. And as you grow, these things will become easier. Your employees will learn to do these things on a, just automatically. It'll be a reflex. I joke about this, and I was talking to my son about this a couple of days ago when we were having a little conversation. I said, it's so ironic that so many people to this day have to be reminded to wash their hands, because it may be one of the ways that it protects them from, contracting this dangerous virus. But this is something they should have learned in elementary school. But we take it for granted that things are just going to be okay. And it's sad, but it's true. So where do we go from here? We have to, at some point, bring all of the things together that can work. So you start building out your structure. You say, if you have a restaurant, as an example, yes, you're going to have to remove tables. You're going to have to create more separation. One of the things that I notice the most when I'm watching television, and I'll see some of the big restaurants, and they got on it really quick. We have our restaurants are still open. We're serving the public, and they always show somebody with gloves on, and the person's working and they're fixing food, but they neglected the most important thing. The person wasn't wearing a mask, and the gloves that they're wearing are not really going to protect them from anything, because generally loose-fitting gloves won't really protect you from anything, because in a cooking environment, in a kitchen environment, things they're flying everywhere. There's, airborne things all over the place. So all it takes is for one person to notice that, and then they start blogging about it, and they start posting things about it. And then all the good work, all the investment is just gone out the window, because someone noticed something that should have been thought about long before that commercial was ever aired. That's what I'm talking about. Look at your plans. Make sure they're bulletproof before you execute. This is no different than if you were starting your business. What is the first thing you need? A business plan. Long before you worry about, securing financing and looking for a location and all the normal things that we do, in the process of opening a business. Today you're going to have to start thinking about reinventing your business. Even though it may do the same thing, it's still going to be a restaurant. It's still going to be a hair salon. It's still going to be a pet grooming place. It can be whatever it was or whatever it is. But now you're going to have to start thinking about different ways to approach what you do. As an example, I go out on occasion and I'm doing corporate headshots for my clients. So generally what happens, if they're not coming into the studio, we'll go into their offices. They'll let us use a conference room, and then we'll go in there and we'll set up lighting and a backdrop and, a couple of either laptop, that we're tethering into, or a tablet, whatever it is, so that they're able to review the images right after they shoot. And generally, when that happens, they're standing right next to you. They're walking right over to you. They're right over the laptop. You're showing them the different images that have been captured so far. If they have time in their day and it's not a rush thing, you can even allow them to make their selections right there on the spot. So then at that point, the only thing you have left to do is do the final touch-ups, and you're good to go. You can email them to them later that day. But now you have to rethink that. So now, as I rethink it, I'm like, okay, so how will I approach this? So they're going to be photographed at the other end of the room. So what do? You put a monitor at the other end of the room, even if it's a tablet that's wirelessly connected to, let's say, your laptop. You're still able to let them see the photos, and they can still scroll through the photos and still make their selections, but they're totally on the other side of the room. That's giving them that buffer, that sense of separation, where they feel a little bit more secure, to the point that they're not worried about, as I come into this room, they're exposed to someone they don't know, and they don't know what that may entail. So you're giving them that extra bit of sense of security. That's the key. So going forward on a lot of these podcasts, I know this one tonight, might seem a little, gloom and doom. At some point, we have to accept the fact that there are some really negative things happening in our world. What we're going to have to do is find a way to make lemonade from the lemons. That's the key. So as we're going forward in future podcasts, we'll look at different approaches to how to market, how to maintain the client base that you have, keep growing your client base, and ensure them existing and future of your new procedures so that you'll be able to give them that sense of security. When they come into your establishment or you're going into their homes or into their business, they're going to feel safe, that you're making effort to cover all the bases and ensure that you're not bringing something in there that's going to harm them or, vice versa. You want your employees to be safe. You want yourself to be safe. You don't want to be taking things home to your family. So anyway, guys, this was Ron Wilkerson. I just really wanted to do this podcast tonight and just get a couple of things out there. I really look forward to seeing what you guys comment. I will do my best to respond to the comments. And even if, you're reposting this somewhere else, talk amongst yourselves. Maybe, some of the things that I've said tonight may help you think about what you want to do going forward. Because the most important thing you can do right now, when you are at home with nothing else to do, and you have that time, so use it to your advantage. So I will see you guys really soon in the next podcast. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves, wash your hands, take care of your loved one. Peace. I'm out.